Well, hello everybody. It's me again. I'm checking in and coming with what I promised you about prelinguistic skills. So our goal as therapists, as parents, as friends of those people, we want to meet our children where they're at. And so sometimes that means we're not going to force words on them. Sometimes that means we're not going to even expect them to say anything, because they're just not there yet. Some people usually, when they come to my office, they don't usually know, oh, we're in the monkey room, by the way. That's my therapy room. They don't realize that there are some skills, these prelinguistic skills that develop even before expressive language, before receptive language. So ideally, the way development happens is you have prelinguistic skills, receptive language, and then expressive language. So a lot of times what I find is when the kiddos are not talking, a lot of times it's because they're just not there yet. They need to work and strengthen their prelinguistic skills, and then also their receptive language skills, and then the expressive skills. So a lot of times though, I see once we really start working on these prelinguistic skills, especially imitation, I will say that's a big one, imitation of action, imitation of movement, then can come imitation of speech. I will start to see imitation of sounds and imitation of words. In fact, I had a 4-year-old little boy the other day I'd been working with for a year and a half who hadn't said any words yet. And we had been really working on our prelinguistic skills for a while and just praying that he needed a breakthrough. And on Monday, he said, all done. And so that's super exciting for me because family has been working so hard to achieve that. But it came with meeting him where he is, with really diving deep into those prelinguistic skills, and being patient. So there are 12 prelinguistic skills I wanted to chat with you about. I won't take up too much of your time. I know it's valuable. Those skills. So the first one is reacts to things in the environment. So does your child, this is relevant to children with autism, but also children who are typically developing. So does your child react to things that are happening in the environment? Do they respond when somebody drops something, there's a loud noise, or somebody enters the room? Are they responding to that? Number 2 is responds to people. When they hear a person's voice, are they responding to the voice? Because there's a difference between responding to an object and responding to a person. Number 3, are they making eye contact with you? So eye contact is huge. That's a big red flag. If they're not making eye contact, it's a red flag for autism, because the foundation of language is engagement. It's a social engagement. So we communicate because we're part of being a social being. So eye contact is really important. Joint attention. So are we both attending to the same thing and including one another in it? So a lot of times I have to educate people on this, parents on this specifically, because it's not enough for a child to be happy and having fun in an activity, but do they actually include you in it? So are they looking at you and looking at the activity and then looking back at you, making sure that you're following along, you're playing along, or are they really just focused into that activity? I find that my children that are on the spectrum, they tend to just really focus in on that one thing and not include you. So we want to help build joint attention by building engagement, opportunities for engagement with you at home. And we like to do this through tickle time and floor time and some other ways as well, but those are easy ways to do it at home. Number 5 is turn taking, reciprocity. That's again like taking into consideration other people And can they take turns with you? Like simple turns. So for instance, like with a toddler, it might be, okay, we're throwing a balloon back and forth, or maybe we're blowing bubbles. So first they pop, then I pop. They pop, then I pop. So is there some turn taking going around? Now, I'm not talking about board games turn taking. I'm talking about just some simple board taking, turn taking. So maybe you're playing with a toy and it's like, it's got a button, and you push the button and then they push the button and then you push the button and they push the button. Is that kind of thing happening? Let's see, number 6, longer attention spans. Now, we all love this because our littles are everywhere so fast. So what we like to do is we like to take into consideration, like, what is appropriate amount of time that they would be attending to something. And then we want to stretch that out. So we want that to be growing and developing. And how do we do this? We do this by staying with a task, right? So like if we know, let's say we know, okay, another prime example, I have one kiddo who literally will only stay with a task for about 5 seconds and then on to a new task. So I don't start it, okay, 1 minute we're gonna sit here. Nope. I start at, say, 20 seconds. And we're going to stay with this activity for 20 seconds. So if they are getting up to go do something else, I redirect them back to the activity. And then maybe I use a visual timer to let them know, hey, we're going to be here for this amount of time. And then once the time is up, then we can move on. Number 7, plays with a variety of toys appropriately. This one's really important because how do kids grow in their cognitive function? They grow through play. And play is a big one. When we see a child who's only playing with like 1 or 2 toys, it's typically because they don't know how to play with other toys, and we have to teach them. So we meet them where they're at and we teach them to play with a variety of toys. And in doing so, we build cognitive skills such as object permanence, cause and effect, early problem solving, improved attention. So that's a big one, playing functionally with toys with our toddlers. Or with any child who's not playing functionally with toys, it's definitely a red flag. For something else neurologically, some people call it neurodivergent, and you would want to speak to your pediatrician if, say, like they're 12 months and they're meant to be playing with a ring stacker or something like that, and they're not, then I would just be keeping an eye out, like, okay, are they developing? What is the reason why that they're not playing with toys? Is it because they physically cannot access the toy, or is it because they simply don't know how to, or don't have the cognitive skills to know how to play with the toy? Let's see, number 8. Understands words in simple directions. So that's something we really want from our kiddos, but to tell you the truth, a lot of my kiddos aren't here. So this prelinguistic skill for me and working with my kiddos, we're always wanting that. We're always working on that, but it's not usually something that I start with, especially with my kiddos with autism. Number 9, vocalizes purposefully. So if you have a young one and they start vocalizing, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So we want all kinds of sounds to be coming out. We want vocalizations, we want vowel sounds, we want consonant sounds, we want babbling, we just want them. It's like they're talking, their jargon, they're talking, but they're not saying words we understand. We want that. Number 10, imitation. This one is key because imitation is a huge part of learning, huge part. So if I had to pick any of the ones that I have said so far, and I only was gonna do one, it would be imitation. I would work on imitating because we know that when a child starts imitating actions, the next step is imitating movements. Now, a lot of my kiddos that are on the spectrum have difficulty imitating movements. So many times they'll jump from imitating actions to imitating speech because movement motor movements can be difficult for children who have autism. But I would work on imitation. So like if you're playing with a toy, imitating pushing a button, or maybe it's closing one of the little doors to a toy. Maybe it's popping a bubble. Any little thing that you can find that interests them, and then have them model it for them, and then have them imitate you. 11 uses early gestures. So this would be like waving or high five. Now, also some people like to do the fist bump now. So early gestures is an early way for them to communicate when they don't necessarily have words yet. Number 12, initiates interactions. Now, initiation is a really hard thing to teach. So what I do is I just present opportunities for them to initiate. So I might, well, one thing I like to do when children do start talking, maybe it's sign language, maybe it's pointing, maybe it's with words, I will put something out of reach. We call it communication temptation. Put something out of reach and wait for them to ask you for it. And I might even put it just far enough away that they can't get it themselves, but they see it and they know it's there. And that way they will start to initiate communication with you. They have to have a reason to communicate, especially with our children with autism. It's such a difficult thing for them that the reason has to be pretty high that they'll communicate with you. And so we want to give them as many opportunities as possible to initiate those communication interactions. Okay, so what can you do at home? What can you do in your therapy? What can you do with your children? Well, one of the biggest things I would say is get on the floor. Just get on their level and play. And as you learn these skills, you can slowly start bringing them into your play. It's going to feel awkward actually at first until you just practice, and just keep playing. The one thing I would steer away from is screen time. And kids really like screen time, but especially our children who have difficulty communicating, screen time is not going to help them. Let's just talk specifically about our children who have severe cognitive communication impairments. It is not going to teach them to talk, and it is not going to help their prelinguistic skills that need to develop. So a lot of these skills are cognitive skills, and how do cognitive skills develop? It's through play. So you can get free toys at the library. You can, it doesn't have to be complex toys. It can be simple toys, cheap toys. As long as, I like toys that last and they cannot swallow. So those are key. But yeah, if you have any more questions about prelinguistic skills or want any ideas of toys or activities, go ahead and message me and let me know. Okay, I hope this helped you today. Have a great day. Bye.